everybody. It is time for Fire Up. Are we fired up tonight or what?
Oh, absolutely. Every Thursday night, I'm fired up here.
I'm so fired up. It's
awesome.
Cool beans. All right. Good evening, crew. Ooh, someone has just had a steak. Ooh, that's one of my favorites.
I have found a nice rub slash whatever, or just the seasoning for steak at Walmart. And I tried it because I like the TV show, and the brand is Yellowstone Steak Seasoning. And yes, it's Yellowstone, just like the brand on there.
Mm-hmm.
And it's actually amazing. It has a touch of dill, some garlic, some onion, margarine, thyme, salt, pepper, and just a touch of cayenne for a little bite after. Smoking Dad in the building. God, I almost want to hit my sounder.
Joshua Door, Turbo Jet Don't. There we go.
We got some people on.
RXJ, how you doing, RXJ? That's my man.
You already have a question.
My favorite steak, believe it or not, I like a good flank steak or a tomahawk, also known as the cowboy ribeye. And I prefer like in between medium rare plus, I guess it's called. Not quite medium, but not quite medium rare, because I like the internal temperature to get to where the E. coli and all that stuff is burnt off. I'm going to have to try that, Smoking Jay. He goes, hell yeah, tomahawk. Yes. And the reason why it originally was called the cowboy ribeye is because when they were on the cattle drives and the cattle would pass away, they would cut that hunk out, the ribeye, and leave the bone on it because they didn't use utensils on the trail. So that way all they had to do is throw it over the fire, cook it, take it off, grab it by the bone, and eat it. There's my resident Vikings fan and a guy that comes on my podcast a lot, Michael Johnson. Good to see you, Bill.
Good to see you.
All I have to say about the Lions game is thank God halftime has came and went, because now we get to see what Hendon Hooker looks like.
Yes. Even though it's preseason, football is back. You are correct. And the thing about preseason, especially these games now, is we're just looking to see who the backups are going to be, how people are going to play with other people, how some of the rookies are going to play. It's going to be interesting season, I think. Yes, there's two games going on tonight. It's Panthers versus Patriots and Lions versus Giants.
I had my nickname for that other game that's playing doesn't have the Lions involved, and it has to do with something you do in the bathroom in a bowl.
Oh my goodness. And Joshua, Scotty normally takes off on Thursday nights. He likes to just relax. So he gives me reign and I control the shows tonight. So go Panthers. It's the wrong Panthers, Joshua. We're not talking hockey. It's football time. But guess I'll watch a podcast with my favorite podcaster. Nice. Yeah, Joshua, that's a little TMI there. Come visit Texas. I'll reverse your beast steak you've ever had.
Ooh. Yeah, they have that place down there. If you eat the steak, you get it for free or something. It's a steak place down in Texas. I heard they have the largest steak, and if you eat the whole thing, you get it for free in a T-shirt or something.
Oh, beefsteak sounded right. I get it. I knew you meant best, but I like the idea of beefsteak because I always did the beast. Roast beast is a feast that I like the most. I'm not the Grinch.
Oh, that's funny.
And my dad, the guy that got me to be a Lions fan, just said, "Oh my God, I forgot the Lions were playing tonight."
Mm-hmm.
Yep, a good skirt steak. I also like flank steaks, and the reason why I like flank steaks is because it's not as tough as like your sirloins, and it's just a nice quick sear. You can get it done in under 5 minutes and get you to that medium rare plus the medium, and I like that type of cooking because I don't like the blood, but I like the pink.
Since when did this become a cooking show? I mean, I like it, but that's kind of try hanger steak. Too late for me. Good night. Oh, well, good
Okay,
night. Neil.
Delos, we get it. Have a good night, sir.
Yes, thanks for coming on it.
This has become a cooking show. They started talking about steaks.
I know. I like cooking, so I don't mind it at all. I told people on Fire Up we talk about anything, but the title of the show tonight is Hot Topics in the Sports World. That's kind of funny. It's actually not blood. Ha ha ha. Grills the steaks at 3 a.m. Is that dinner or breakfast? Does it matter? Is there a wrong time to eat steaks?
Steak at 3 a.m. I'd call it Brenner. Or
I'd call it hangover. I'm just kidding.
Hangover food. Yes, that's absolutely what it is. If you're in Tennessee, the bars close at 3, then it would be 4 a.m. hangover food.
We're men. Beer, steak, and football. Okay.
Yes.
Dog check. That's what I have to say to that. Oh, that's funny. That's funny. Okay, so let's what's been happening in the sports world lately besides we've already started talking about NFL and preseason. Let's talk about them. So how do you think the Lions are doing, Jeremy?
Defensively, I've liked what I've seen. Right now, it looks like they're moving the ball. They are actually in the red zone, 1st and 10 on the 19. Hendon Hooker so far is 3 of 4 for 19. He's also rushed for 12 yards. Craig Reynolds hasn't done much. Jameer Jefferson hasn't done much. Donovan Knight hasn't done. The nice, refreshing thing is Sion Vaki, 4 rushes for 29 yards at 7.2 yards per carry. But the 3 targets have been spread around. It's been Isaiah Williams, the UDFA that is supposed to be a special teams ace. He's caught 2 passes for 18 yards. Caden Davis caught 1 for 5. That's who's on the field with him right now. He was demoted to the 3rd string because he was struggling with some footwork and some mechanics. So Mark Brunell and JT Barrett had been working with him. And right now, considering he's 3 for 4 for 19, and we had Nate Sudfeld, I almost did it again, go 7 of 15 for 40 yards and a pick. Right now, I'd say he sounds like he's doing pretty good for his first NFL game action of any kind.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry, Candy.
You were watching the Panthers game a little bit with the Patriots?
Yeah, I was watching a little bit, and it's flipping back and forth to Chicago PD. But yeah, I was watching a little bit of it.
How was that game going?
Nah, it's boring. 7-0 New England. Nothing really happening. They interviewed. It's New England's play-by-play people, so I had to listen to their. That's why I have the volume off too. So I don't want to listen to them.
It looks like it's still 7-0.
Yeah.
Yeah. Bailey Zappi is 12 of 20.
They're looking at Plummer. Carolina's had Plummer in now for almost the whole game. So looks like they're looking at Jake Plummer. So
yeah. Jack Plummer.
Or Jack Plummer.
73 yards, and he's only got a passer rating of 57.6. So he's not doing too good tonight.
No.
Bailey Zappi is doing any better.
And Nate Sudfeld, who has a QBR of 24.2.
Wow.
Ouch. Ouch.
And Bailey Zappi was in the game for New England. They're going to look at Milton from Tennessee. They're going to look at him tonight. I was told, Jacoby Brissett will not see action. He's their starting quarterback.
No, I think they're saying, I heard the Texans are going to start CJ Stroud this week, though, since he didn't start last week. And Pittsburgh is going to start.
We're countering with Justin Fields, Candy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we're countering with him, and you'll probably see a lot of Kyle Allen, and also that Parley kid from Central Florida. You'll see him too.
Okay.
Because he's still with the team. He's been drafted by the UFL, so if the Steelers don't put him on a practice squad, he'll probably he'll go to the UFL.
And that game is tomorrow night.
Yes, it is 7:30 here at Acrisure Stadium, and it's going to be interesting. I'm interested to see what some of these guys look like and what's going on. You know, our new offense. I want to see what's going to happen. Probably will be vanilla, but Arthur Smith, I'm interested to see what his offense looks like. So.
Yeah, it's the Falcons facing the Dolphins, the Texans facing the Steelers, and the Eagles facing the Ravens tomorrow night.
There's people picking Atlanta to win that division, Candy. You know what? I don't see Raheem. I don't know. I don't see Cousins doing that well down there. And then you got Raheem Morris as their head coach, who's a defensive guy. I don't know. Maybe the second time around for Raheem Morris is going to work out. I don't know. You know.
And Michael Jackson is saying Fields is starting around.
Yes, he is.
I think I heard that Fields has been taking a lot more of the reps even.
Yeah, well, Russell Wilson is out with a calf injury from pulling a sled. For some strange reason, our conditioning coach, who I think should be fired, why are you making a quarterback pull a sled?
That is
especially
crazy.
A 36-year-old quarterback. Ben Roethlisberger didn't pull a sled. Okay, so I mean, you know, why are you having Russell Wilson pulling a sled? I don't get that. You know, offensive lineman I could see, or defensive lineman, linebackers, even whatever, pulling a sled or pushing the sled or whatever. I don't, you know, whatever it is they do with those things. You know.
Hooker is making things happen. He's now had 4 carries for 34 yards and is leading the team in rushing and in yards per carry at 8.5. With being 5-7.
That's good.
Carolina's offensive line don't look too good.
That was the only thing that worried me about Carolina this season, because I know Dave Canales can work wonders with quarterbacks. But it was their whole line. I didn't think they did enough to shore it up. A lot like the reason why I think Chicago will struggle. I don't think they did enough to shore up their offensive line.
Yeah, and you got in Carolina, Jeremy, you got that. You know, you got Bryce Young in his second season trying to rebound from a pretty decent last year, but not a real good one. And then on top of that, you have so. To have a bad offensive line is not going to work. And then in Chicago, you got Caleb Williams, who I think he's going to be running all over the place for the rest of his life. Maybe they can open up some holes for him to run. You know,
maybe Caleb Williams will be all right. He had the same type of offensive line at USC.
Yes. We'll find out, won't we?
Oh yeah, I was there. Oh, Joshua Dorr, that is sad news. Titi Rodriguez passed today.
Oh, get out of here. Wow.
Legend golfer.
Yeah.
That is sad.
I'm not into golf, but I do know him.
Oh, must have been a penalty. 1st and 10 at the 3. Oh, no, it's a turnover. Who did it? I gotta see this.
Well, I can say that on Saturday, the Packers play the Browns. The Chiefs play the Jaguars. Let's see. The Commanders play the Jets. Bears play the Bills. Raiders play the Vikings. 49ers, Titans, Buccaneers, Bengals, Seahawks, Chargers, Saints, and Cardinals. Now, there's been a little bit of rumbling that Seattle's had some, fights actually at their practice. I mean, not just even little scruffles. They're talking about taking a helmet and
DK Metcalf actually got upset with a corner that showed him up and ripped the guy's helmet off and whacked him with it.
Wow.
With that Guardian cover on it. And you know what I think about that? That's grounds for assault to be charged. Remember, because Mason Rudolph, if Myles Garrett would have connected.
Myles Garrett, right? Yeah. I watched that game, and it was amazing how that happened. I mean,
Mhm.
I watched that game and I said to myself, "Oh my gosh," you know.
As
So
bad as Nate Sudfeld was for the Lions, the first action Drew Lock has seen since last preseason didn't go so well for him either. He was 4 of 10 for 17 yards and a pick, which led to a QBR, which I think is an NFL preseason low of 8.8.
Ouch.
Yes, Hooker's mobility is on display, Orlando.
Mm-hmm. Okay, then following the weekend on Sunday, it's the Broncos versus the Colts and the Cowboys versus the Rams. Interesting.
Cowboys Rams ought to be pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
I'm interested to see what Minnesota's going to do this year with JJ McCarthy. And I'm also interested to see what's going on with Jordan Addison because he's my bum again. And I got another bum for Saturday. What do you see this one, Jeremy?
Okay. But when you're talking about the Rams, you had to have heard, because they're home, that Matthew Stafford and his wife won't be attending because they don't want her seeing the backup quarterback.
Oh my, for real?
That's all I got to say. And Brent,
what they come up with, man, it's unbelievable.
Oh, I can't even read it. Sunbelt is you guys can put it in the chat so I can read it, because I can't say the name unless you guys type it out. You guys know my nickname for them.
Oh, yes.
My nickname.
Let's talk a little bit. I know we're not huge in baseball, but we do. I got to give it to the Chicago White Sox. Man, for tying that record. For having, how many was it in a row that they lost?
21, wasn't it? Or 22?
Yeah, 21 in a row. Yeah.
20.
Yeah, Grady Sizemore's their interim manager. So
thank God they won that game. And it's more than just that. If they would have lost that game and kept the streak going, not only would they have set the record for most consecutive losses, they were on pace for the most losses in MLB history in a season. Because they won that game, all they can do is tie it.
wow.
Can you believe? So they go on that terrible streak. They finally win one, and then the next day we fire manager,
they fired a
bench
manager,
coach, and hitting coach, and one more. It was 4 different coaches.
It was everybody he brought in.
Bench coach, third base coach, and assistant hitting coach.
Wow, that's crazy. And Grady Sizemore takes over as interim manager. I can't wait to see what the White Sox are going to do here. You know, we'll see what kind of move this is, Candy and Jeremy, because I'm interested to see what kind of a move are they. They could win more games, and then Grady Sizemore could be your permanent manager. I've seen those things happen. You know, you just never know.
But Ryne Sandberg has been a part of the single high A affiliate, the Quad City Cubs, and he's actually done a good job and led them to a couple of championships. That's a guy that could start getting a call up to be like a base coach or maybe a batting
bench coach. Yeah, bench coach. Yeah.
Because Ryne Sandberg was one heck of a player for Chicago.
Yes, he was. And then I'll say this too, Jeremy. If you have a coach that wants to be a manager or look to get up high, bench coach is the spot. That's where, our bench coach is Don Kelly. All right. So if he was in Detroit. Yeah. So
he played all 9 positions in his time at Detroit. A lot of people don't realize he actually came in because of when Zumaya was hurt and we lost a couple other guys in the bullpen.
Right.
They pulled him out of right field and let him go do some throwing in the bullpen. And he wasn't doing bad. And when it got to the 8th inning of that game, he came in and shut out the side. He shut him down. So he actually wasn't a bad pitcher. He didn't have
Right.
your 93 to 97 mile an hour fastball, but what he did have was an 83 mile an hour fastball and a 52 mile an hour change.
Well, they said that they said you know, Don Kelly is a really smart guy. I mean, I don't know him very well, but I'm told he's a very smart guy. And they interviewed him for the manager's position, and then they went ahead and did you know, they hired Charrington, or I'm sorry, Sheldon. So
Baseball, this is my strong suit. He loves baseball. If I'd have known that, who knows? Maybe next season I'll do a baseball show. I don't know.
hey, there's Bo.
So
Yes.
something that just came across the wire. David Bell breaks Sparky Anderson's Reds record with the 31st career ejection. That's kind of funny.
Oh, there you go. There. Oh,
the
wow.
reason why Sparky Anderson got that record is because he coached for so long and longer than Billy Martin, who had the record previous to him.
Previous to that. Hey, you know what? Leland should be up there. I mean, Jim Leland, man, I've seen him get ejected several times,
I don't
all
know why
across the board.
he didn't get as ejected as everybody thought, but yeah, he was a fiery coach. I think
Oh, man.
I think he got ejected a total of 23 to 25 times in his career. I played college ball and pro summer league, then blew out my knee. Poof, done. Yeah, I know, Michael Johnson. That's the way it usually goes for those of us that are decent at a sport. We try to do something, and something always gets in the way. Me, it was my Achilles.
Mm-hmm.
You, your knee. I know. I had a buddy that was he was scouted for Big Ten teams to be a catcher from here in Flint, but he didn't have the grade, so he went and joined the Army and started retaking high school courses while he was in, and he played for the base team. And at that time, they had this fireballer there back in the late 80s playing for the post team. And the guy had a 101 mile an hour clock fastball back then.
Whoa.
And he missed it, and it hit him. Yeah, it wasn't good. It wasn't good. That's all I got to say. All I know is every guy for 4 counties doubled over in pain when they saw it.
Ouch, 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 ouch. Wow. Well, what is with these guys hitting multiple home runs in one game? Have you guys seen that? Churro had 2, Metz Alonso swats. Schwarber had his second 3 home run game.
Well, Schwarber's a name, but we've had a lot of guys that you don't normally hear hitting home runs, hitting multiple home runs, like Wilson Perez of the Tigers that had a 2 home run day the other day. I mean, it's been all over the place. It boggles my mind, but at the same time, the pitchers complained about that new harder wound Mizuno baseball because it carries more power, and it's kind of showing that when you got guys that don't normally hit home runs hit multiple home runs in one game.
And I also believe too, Jeremy, that pitch count. I think that pitch clock, I think, is making more hitters hit more too, because the pitcher doesn't have enough time to really get himself together to pitch, like he used to, and stuff like that. And I believe, and I've heard a lot of people say it's that pitch clock.
As Dandy Don used to say, turn out the lights, the party's over. Thank goodness we have a legitimate QB2. Yes.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, the Brewers have kind of, I mean, they won today 16-7. They had 20 hits today versus Atlanta. And I want to say the other day they had quite a few too. They had 16 hits yesterday versus Atlanta. And they had 16 hits before 10 runs. So they've just been on a tear hitting against the Braves. I guess we wish we played the Braves more often.
Oh, absolutely. If you're doing that,
Yes, yes. Okay, guys. Olympics are closing ceremonies on Sunday already.
yes, yeah. It's
We'll put
it's
up
it's been
Michael.
a fast, quick Olympics.
It has. So out of all the sports, which is the one that you've followed the most and you've enjoyed watching?
I haven't watched any of the Olympics at all. I
You know
really
what?
haven't.
I've medal watched. I looked and I see that USA is number 1, China's number 2. I believe it's Australia that's number 3,
Yeah,
correct? And then France is
Australia. Yeah.
so I've been medal watching and it's been quite a run. I did watch some replays of Simone Biles and her floor exercise when she went out of bounds twice, which is unheard of. But at the same time, the other girl, and she was from USA too, correct? Didn't all 3 USA gymnasts in the floor routines medal? Or was it?
We got silver and bronze. There was
Yeah, it was a friend of theirs though that went
yes.
to some type of competition and got hurt and couldn't compete. And I'm wondering if it wasn't one of those gestures to say, "Hey, let's give this girl her flowers. She did a good routine." Because both of those girls made minor mental mistakes they normally don't make.
Wow.
It could be. It could be that. I mean, the one that won gold. I know I had read someplace that for her to train, she had to walk 2 hours to the training facility and 2 hours back.
Right. That's the thing is that the gymnast hotel was 3 miles away to 3.5 miles away. So to walk 2 hours, that's a casual walk. So she didn't like power gate to get there because a person can walk 4 miles an hour if they're dedicated.
Right.
That means she casually walked. Being from Grand Blanc, I watched the guy get a bronze, saw the highlight of the cyclist that was put into an event she never did before, won gold, like Secretariat style. That's it, though. Watch nothing live.
Well,
And Michael Johnson said he watched gymnastic, men's and women's.
and if anybody is watching like the basketball, USA played today. They were actually down at the end of the third quarter. Steph Curry willed them back to winning. It was crazy. I saw it. Let me see what it said that they were down. Steph Curry scored 36 points, including a go-ahead three-pointer with 2:16 left. The U.S. trailed by 17 points in the first half, plus faced an 11-point halftime deficit, the biggest one successfully overcome by an American team since NBA players were added to the Olympic mix in 92. Serbia led by 11 with 7 minutes and 19 seconds left. The rest of the way, the U.S. The Americans won a game where they had led for a whole 3 minutes and 25 seconds, which Serbia led for 90% of the game. And France beat Germany, so it'll be USA versus the home guys of France.
You know what? That could be a tough game there, Candy, because France is playing in their hometown. And when you play in your hometown, you have more motivation to want to win. If I'm the U.S., I'd be very careful.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
Oh, Michael, you're not even as old as me, and I can't believe you just told that story. And there it reminded me of my grandpa. We used to walk 3 miles uphill in the snow barefoot and back home 4 miles uphill in the snow just to go to school.
It was a great fourth quarter, go USA.
Yes.
Awesome.
The Olympics have had a lot of great stories, including the women's relay team, the 400-meter relay. Kate Ledecky. Gosh, we've had so many great stories come out. Who was it? The U.S. woman that just tore it up in the 400-meter hurdles. They said it was like everybody else should have just stayed home. They were so far behind.
Carrie Richardson, yeah.
Yeah.
Somebody from Pittsburgh here is part of that breakdance and part of the Olympics.
How about
That's it.
how did you see the 400 meter where Hall comes from behind and speeds up at the last second to take gold? That was
Yeah,
pretty
and
cool.
the other one that I want to mention, because this has nothing to do with the Olympics, but there's some 12-year-old track meets that are going on outside of school functions right now. And there's a girl from North Carolina. I don't know her last name, but her first name is Lily. She starts to run and she's wearing regular high top basketball shoes. She comes out of her shoe at the start. She grabs back, goes back, grabs her shoe, turns around and runs. And in the 200-meter sprint, beat the field. She ran
Wow.
behind. I was like, you know what it reminded me of? If
What's,
anybody ever you watched Smallville, which was about Clark Kent growing up, he ran
yeah.
track all the time, and he had
I
something like
never
that,
watched it, but I know what show you're talking about.
and where he just ran a little bit faster than he should have, than humanly possible to get back in the race and took third. He didn't want to win it, but
Mhm.
everybody remarked at how fast he got to third place through the field.
Mhm.
You know, it was that type of video where it looked like everybody else was jogging, and she just maintained her pace and just boogied right through them.
Mhm.
And we also saw in the Olympics the one person from that African country that was celebrating about 10 yards away from the end and got blown by. And I was like, oh, this is why you don't celebrate early. Because they
Mhm.
started to high stepping and raising their hands like they won.
Mhm.
Also had a photo finish, a record photo finish where three people, but by the letter of the rule in the Olympics, you have the start line and you have the finish line of where they end it, and your torso has to cross first. And all those guys crossed, and it literally is like thousandths of a second difference between them. But he was the only one that leaned forward with his shoulders. One guy leaned his neck, and one guy moved his hand. But the one guy was smart enough to lean forward and got his shoulders across the line before the other two, and that's why he won on that photo finish.
It's 10-0 or 16-0 now. New England. They just scored a touchdown, and Milton's in the game at quarterback for New England.
Mhm.
If you look at what Milton did when he came in for Hendon Hooker that year and the following in this past season for Tennessee, you know,
Right.
they really didn't miss a lot. They missed Hooker's accuracy, but as far as the arm strength and the poise in the pocket, they didn't miss that at all. And he had the exact same type of athleticism. And I said, whether or not that equates to the NFL remains to be seen, because the athletic quarterbacks have all been decent and gone far in the playoffs, but none of them have won it yet in the NFL. And that's where I'm at. I mean, John Elway was the exception because he stopped running when he won his Super Bowl.
Oh yeah, he did.
Yes, I did see that. Did you all see the 400 meter was won by Carl Lewis with a 9.92 for gold? This year, the last place time was 9.91.
That's the race I was talking about where it was such a close finish. Literally, the last person was in the frame of the photo finish. That's nuts.
Mm-hmm. It's crazy.
Super fast.
It is. What other sports topics you guys got besides? We're not going to get to my town yet, but any other sports that you guys want to talk about? What's happening? College football, obviously they're practicing.
Yes, training camps have started. Uh, it's going to be
Yeah,
an interesting scenario this year to see what Pitt does. We have a new offensive coordinator, Cade Bell, come from Western Carolina. He runs a go offense. The concern I have is that I think that Pitt has smart players, but they don't have the type of players that to run Cade Bell's offense. It's like shoving a square peg into a round hole. And I'm going to use this example. When Walt Harris was the coach at Pitt, and then he got fired, and they brought in Dave Wannstedt. Wannstedt switched from this West Coast offense that threw all the time to a power running game. And Matt Cavanaugh was our offensive coordinator at the time. So, and it's the same thing here. Cade Bell's got this go offense. I watched some of it in spring practice, but it's not. It's just I don't know if we have the talent for it a little bit, but we don't have all the talent that he needs, and he's going to have to go out and recruit some players for this offense here. We're going to see what the current lineup does with it. They just lost some offensive linemen to the transfer portal, and the defensive line doesn't look all that great this year. So I don't know where Pitt's going to go this year, but if they make 6-5 or 6-6, I think they'll be lucky.
Mm-hmm.
So,
All right.
I'm interested to see what Colorado's going to do in the Big 12. What's going to happen to Michigan? With this allegation stuff.
They already put down the verdict that they're not going to have to vacate the title. They're debating if they're going to have to suspend Sherrone Moore in place of Jim Harbaugh, because Jim Harbaugh got a 1-year ban from any colleges this season. So he literally can't even go there to pro days because it's 1 year from the hand down, including his defensive coordinator, Jesse Mentor, and their defensive backs coach that he brought over from Michigan. So all three of them.
So anybody connected with Michigan, Jeremy, you're telling me cannot participate in the pro day.
Those three coaches were the ones specifically named.
Oh wow. Okay.
They cannot do anything to do with college sports for 1 year from 2 days ago. So they literally can't go to pro days. They can't go. I think the only thing they can do is the scouting combine, because that's an NFL invited event.
Right.
So that means all the scouts and GMs have to do everything. He can't.
Well, what about the Senior Bowl?
That's a college event. That's not
That's
an
a
NFL.
college event. Yeah, and the East-West Shrine game and all that. Those
all that stuff.
Yeah.
The HBCU, the Division 2 and 3 combine that they do in Indianapolis after the main scouting.
So let's say Jeremy, I'm going to paint you a little hypothetical here. Let's say they decide to go to a game and buy a ticket. Are they still allowed at the college game?
They are banned from all collegiate football games.
So they can't go to nothing, even if they buy a ticket.
Right.
Okay. I just wanted to be clear on that. That's all.
To do their scouting reports, if they want to do their scouting reports, they got to do it the exact same way I've been doing it for 3 years. Watch every bit of game film they can during that weekend.
Yeah.
And also going back and rewatching all the games on YouTube, because that's how I do my scouting reports. But Is Undone actually came in. Broderick sat with Martin with the sack. Nice. Yes, and he was actually joined on that sack with Nate Lynn, the UDFA out of Williams and Mary College that I actually had high hopes for. So they had a sack. Also, Isaac Ukwu, another UDFA that came in that was signed. He had a sack. So that's the 2 sacks that the defense has so far.
You know who went to William and Mary, don't you, Jeremy?
No, probably not.
Mike Tomlin.
Oh yeah, okay.
He was a player and coach there, and he coached under Bill Stewart from West Virginia so right after Richie Rod got fired, and then Stewart took over there, and then they fired him. He was the Joe Paterno of West Virginia, and then they fired him, and then he passed away because he got so frustrated from being fired or removed. And then they brought in that drunk Dana Hogerson.
But here's the crazy thing. He did say that, but they never suspended him from coaching. They just suspended him from attending college events.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So that's not a suspension of coaching, because they couldn't do that because he was already hired as an NFL coach.
So they can't even buy a ticket.
Right. They can't even buy a ticket. They're in LA and they can't go to the Coliseum.
Oh my gosh, that's funny. They can't even buy a ticket.
Right. That's what I'm saying. They cannot attend any college event for a year.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think the NFL or the Chargers are going to let them say, hey, he can't attend any NFL events for a year because then their whole coaching staff, defensively, is gone.
It's gone. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yes, yes, yes. Anything else we want to talk about? Oh,
But thank God that Michigan doesn't have to vacate the title.
Yeah.
Haha, guys.
That would have been. You guys would have had some. I tell you what, Michigan would have had some big egg on their face. And I
Oh,
got to
yeah.
tell you, the program director or the general manager of the radio station where I used to have my sports show on, I would laugh at him because he went to Michigan and he
Moonstar.
loves Michigan. He's got a helmet. He's got it all in his office, and he just adores Michigan. I mean, because he's an alum from there and everything.
so what do we think of this one? Do we think Ohio State's going to take it?
Well, they can't
I
be
think
the
Ohio State might drop off this year.
Ohio can't be the 2024 national championship because that's Michigan.
Right.
Yeah.
But Ike Butker went down. Oh no, that's the guy we just signed that started 17 games for the Bills. He was supposed to be a good depth piece. So now we're down another backup offensive guard. Christian Mahogany's not able to play because he's still dealing with his illness, which they haven't disclosed what the illness is. There's only a few things that would keep you sidelined for 2 to 3 weeks. One of them is COVID. One of them is a major case of the flu. The other one that nobody's even thinking about is appendicitis.
Wow.
So if it's appendicitis and he had a flare up and had to have it removed, that's why he's taking so long to come back from his illness. And so those are the only 3 illnesses I can think of that would keep a player out 3 to 4 weeks at a time.
Yep. I agree.
Out
and
with an illness.
Right. It's all speculation, though, because we don't know. They're not doing it.
Right.
Michael
Him
Johnson
jabbing
says, my will call ticket.
Him jabbing off.
Hey, they might arrest you for that if you give him a ticket. He's not allowed to be in the collegiate game. Somebody might get fired.
They managed to buy that really expensive mask where it actually, if you wear the right clothing with it, you can't tell that it's not a real face. He could probably get away with that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I was going to ask if relatives, like send a nephew there or something.
Yeah, you could do that and have them film it for you or whatever if they allow filming it. And I believe college is a little more leeway than NFL as far as fans filming the games. Because I haven't, the only thing they don't want you doing is unless you've got a press pass, they don't want you carrying a big camera. You know what I mean? They don't want you carrying like the professional style with the 1,000 times action zoom lens on it.
Well, but you're not allowed to, on the media, unless you're one of the big media TV outlets or streaming, you cannot record, live stream the video as well, whether it's college or NFL.
No, you can record it and then take it home and you do your clips and stuff like that, but you can't stream it live while it's happening. And there is some leeway on the Facebook side. I have seen it where people can stream the games as long as they're not putting the sound out there. And what everybody makes the mistake of doing when they're trying to enlarge it, because it's right next to the volume control, they accidentally hit the speaker. And that's what gets everybody in the copyright thing. 2025, JB, you know how hard it is for me to text. I will say, I think the 3 schools that have the best chance to get there are Texas, Ohio State, and Oregon.
Texas, one of their running backs just went down today, and he's out for the season.
Yeah, but they got Quinn Ewers, and they still got great wide receivers there.
Yeah, Steve Sarkisian has them going really good down there, Texas.
Yeah, they lost Baxter to a season.
We'll see what Ryan Day does this year with Ohio State.
All I know is that if Ryan Day loses to Michigan without Harbaugh there on a down year,
he might get fired.
100% will get fired. That's pretty sure after they let Brian Hartline walk to become a coach somewhere else because they refused to promote him and gave Ryan Day another year, they're like, yeah, you lose to either Michigan State or Michigan, you're done.
I'll tell you a good story here. I used to drive a cab, and it was in the 90s. It was 1996. It was the return of Johnny Majors to Pitt. Okay. We were playing Ohio State, and I was taking some people from downtown out to Pitt Stadium for the game. And the guy said, I hate John Cooper. I can't stand John Cooper. I said, well, what's wrong with John Cooper? He said, he can't beat Michigan. He was like, he can't beat Michigan. And I was like, oh, my God.
Okay, guys, is it time for my town?
Yeah, it's time for our town.
Okay, so tell me, Ralph, what's happening in your town?
Well, the Pirates blew it again today. O'Neill Cruz decided to take his time running across the base and got thrown out at second after it was an easy double that he hit. And it's just the boneheaded, stupid mistakes that this Pirate team makes that makes you I don't know if you can call it growing pains or what you can call it, but now all of a sudden they were supposed to be in this wild card hunt. Now they're a game under 500 because they lost today and they got swept by the San Diego Padres. They were in the games, don't get me wrong, but it's just the concept that's that one stupid little mistake, Candy and Jeremy, that the Pirates keep on making that makes you sick, because it's that little mistake that always makes them lose games. And then we still lead the league and runners leaving runners on base and not scoring runs. We still lead the league in that. And then tomorrow's our first preseason game for the Steelers. We're going to find out what's going on with the Steelers tomorrow. You don't expect too much. Oh, by the way, here I just got word that the Steelers have signed Brandon Ayuk. They gave San Francisco 5 7th-round draft picks for Brandon Ayuk. So there you go.
Is that a real report?
No, that's what I call an erroneous report. But no, that's not true. Everybody out there that thinks the Steelers are going to sign Brandon Ayuk, forget it. It's over, because San Francisco wants too much for this. They want 2 number-1 draft picks. They want this, that, and whatever. They want the janitor. They want the water man. They want everything. They want the whole team. Okay, San Francisco, Lynch and Shanahan. You can keep them down there. The Steelers have other plans. Training camp, preseason. I think there's going to be some guys out there, and I say it like Mike Tomlin, guys out there that Omar Khan can sink his teeth into and bring them in for the Steelers. Somebody's going to get cut. Somebody's going to lose a job, and they might lose it from one team and come to the Steelers and play because everybody wants to play for mediocre Mike Tomlin. So there we are with that. But anyway, but we'll see what happens tomorrow. It's preseason. Preseason games are boring. There's not a lot of scoring, and it's just the third, fourth string, and fifth string, and the water boy and all that other stuff that plays in these games. So we're gonna see what the rookies do. My interesting player that I want to look at is Peyton Wilson, the guy we got in the 4th round from North Carolina State. Nobody wanted to draft him because they said he was injury prone. So far, he hasn't been injured, and we're going to see what he does for the Steelers. He'll probably play a little bit in this game. And we got some dinged up injuries, but other than that, that's all. So, but the Riverhounds, our USL soccer team, they haven't had a very good season. They tied 0-0 on Saturday. They've been competitive. They haven't been blown out. But they were in championship games for the USL Cup and all that other stuff. And for some reason this year, everything just fell apart. So, and that's my town.
Smoking Jeremy, your town.
All right. My town, I want to talk about the Detroit Tigers. Everybody's up in arms because they didn't get the massive deal they wanted for Skubal. You know what? If somebody wanted to give up what we wanted to get, a possible Cy Young type of pitcher for their playoff team, they would have done it. We've seen these moves made in the past. But what we did do is at the end of the trade deadline, we moved a guy that was getting paid $14 million who was decent and got some guys back that are prospects. A shortstop, a catcher. We also got a relief pitcher out of it. And what's nice about the relief pitcher is the other day he took the field in a bullpen day. He actually went out in the 6th inning and shut down the side, struck 2 out, and caused the other guy to hit a pop fly. So while everybody's mad at the prospects we got, if they're performing at the professional level, was it a bad trade?
I hear you. I hear you.
You won't know that till the end of the season.
Well, I'm just saying, the guy was brought in as a mid reliever to do 1 to 2 innings of work, and he did what he was supposed to do on a bullpen day where we started out with 3 pitchers before the 5th inning in a game we ended up winning. Michael Lorenzen is his name, and he was actually only playing with the single high A affiliate, the Great Lakes Loons in Midland, Michigan. And the only reason why I know his name and that's where he was playing, because they literally said we lost this game because we had to scratch Michael Lorenzen due to the Jack Flaherty trade. I didn't even see the details of the trade because I was driving through there.
Crazy.
All right.
Good night,
Mike
Mike.
says, thanks for having me. Always a great time and full of knowledge.
Have a
Good
good
night.
one, Michael. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael. Thank you.
Let's hear your town.
My town. Let me think.
Yeah, what's going on in your town, Fort Lauderdale there?
Oh, let's see. We were up in Wisconsin a little over a week ago. We went to a Brewer game. They were playing the Marlins. Go figure. Scott interviews one pitcher from the Marlins. That was on Sunday. On Tuesday, that pitcher got traded.
Yeah, he told us that.
Whoa.
Yes,
Oh.
Brian and Wing
So
got
are
traded.
we saying if it's trade deadline, Scott shouldn't do interviews with players because it might be the KOD for that team? It might mean they're gone.
Well, it depends on if you like the player or not.
Did you guys like the player that was traded?
He hasn't played a lot for the Marlins. He's coming back from injury and stuff like that. But he was a good interview. He actually was born in Indiana. He actually was going to be a basketball player, swapped out. Hasn't kind of interesting. He's never watched the movie Hoosiers from start to finish. We're like, wait a minute. You play Indiana, you grew up in Indiana, you grew up basketball, but you didn't. I'm like, okay, that's fine. But so we got to see that actually was the one game out of the 3 that the Brewers won. So we are talking about going back to Miami Marlins this weekend. I think they're playing San Diego, so the Padres, I believe. What else is happening in my town? Well, we all know Jordan Love signed a huge contract. You know, quarterbacks are getting paid a lot of money.
But if you actually look at it, it's not as bad of a contract as everybody thinks it is. The average per year is because of the total dollars, people. If you actually look at how the contract is, it's very front loaded and bonus heavy. So it's actually very team friendly because they don't have a lot of people to sign next year.
Mm-hmm. So I'm just excited for football season.
Yeah. Buddy Kinkito comes in and said Sudfield sucks.
And Andrew said yes, big time.
Yeah. Isaiah Williams with 4 catches for 35 yards was the player of the game at 8.8 yards per catch. But we did have a Donovan People-Jones sighting. He was targeted once. He caught the ball and had 26 yards. I think that's pretty significant myself. Antoine Green, while Sudfield was out in that first half, had 3 catches on 3 targets for 13 yards and 4.3.
Well, it looks like it was a full of penalties. You guys
Yeah.
were 7 for 41, and the Giants were 10 for 102 yards. So it sounds like a lot of penalties, and that's what preseason. Sometimes you got to work out those kinks.
We dominated the time of possession because we were running the ball more overall. If you with the quarterbacks and the running backs. They had 2 turnovers. We had 1. We had less penalties. We had the same amount of punts, but the difference is Jack Box 7 punts and he averaged 49.6 yards per punt net. That's massive.
Oh yes, absolutely.
That's flipping the field. Otherwise, this game could have been 35-3 the way it went. If you actually think about it. So our defense actually stepped up pretty decently, but their defense did good too. We were 5 of 17 on third down efficiency. They were 1 of 10. We were 0 for 4 on fourth down efficiency, and they were 1 for 1. So there is your key stat of the game. That 1 for 1 got them. Lions DPJ looked lousy on his end zone target. I didn't even know he had an end zone target. I just know he had 1 catch for 26 yards. So he had 2 targets. That's a 50% catch rate. Matter of fact, I can actually get the targets. Let me go back to my other stat sheet here.
Yeah.
Should be almost final here. Yeah, there's 2 minutes and 34 seconds. It's 3rd and 4 on the New York Giants 24.
Yeah, it looks like you guys gave up points in the second quarter. You guys scored in the first and haven't scored since, and the Giants scored all their points in the second quarter.
Yeah, that's what I'm seeing too.
And let's face it, guys, this is the preseason. They're trying out players, and they're trying out players with a combination of different players too, to see which ones mix and stuff like that. It's not always going to be good. It's not always going to be flashy and pretty, but you need to have grit, and you need to show that you want to be there. And that's why they play these preseason games, because there are some players that they're going to walk themselves out, and some players are going to solidify a position.
Yeah, that's why I said earlier, Candy, that the fact that sometimes if you wait enough after the preseason's over and all that stuff, sometimes there's some players out there that are on the scrap heap that you can pick up and use. I mean, this year I call it the used car lot, because sometimes the Steelers are good for doing that, and and again, it's all about chemistry as well. I mean, you have to build up chemistry when you have new players come in, especially draft picks. They have to get used to the speed of the game, which is different than college. I mean, it's a whole different animal. So, we'll see, like you said, what about preseason?
13 of 24 for 96 yards. That's Nate Sudfeld's stat line.
There you go, Jeremy. Hooker's in concussion protocol.
Yeah, that's what he said. I saw that. I saw that was said. Thank goodness it's concussion. I thought it was something worse. All I know is I heard he got jogged into the locker room. I didn't know what it was. I was praying it had nothing to do with his knee. I was praying it had nothing to do with his throwing arm. That's the only thing I was worried about.
He's Goff's backup, right?
After this performance tonight, I would say 100% Hendon Hooker is QB2.
Hendon Hooker.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
I mean, 13 of 24 yards, 13 of 24 with 96 yards and 1 interception. It's awful.
Oh, excuse me. Well, guys, anything else you want to add?
Well, I just I want to say something here publicly. There's a guy in this town. His name is Andrew Filipponi. This guy is on CBS radio. and he has a steady afternoon talk show here in Pittsburgh. I had a lot of respect for Andrew Filipponi until yesterday when he started spreading and spewing gossip about how the Steelers had signed or verbally made a commitment to Brandon Ayuk. And it didn't happen that way, Andrew. So now my respect level for you is nothing because of that. All right. And you know something, Andrew, your partner, Chris Muller, who said 3 times when I went for tryouts for 93.7 A Fan that I couldn't cut it. Your partner, Chris Muller, said that to me 3 different times. Okay. But now, Filipponi, now I don't even want to watch that show or listen to that show at all. Because you know why? Because of what you did yesterday, Andrew. And I'm really surprised at you for the jobs that you do and the things and the shows that you put on, that you would come out with this kind of a thing. And now you have what I call egg on your face.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I agree. Smoking Jeremy B, any last parting shots that you want to get out?
It's preseason, boys. We're seeing second and third stringers. Not a single starter played today. My player of the game was Brendan Joseph. He was second in the team in tackles. He had the one lone turnover that we got by intercepting good old Drew Lock, who didn't help his case to be QB2,
No,
where he
not
was
at all.
starting QB in New York. So, and it's preseason. The records mean nothing. Think about this. The last time the Lions went undefeated in the preseason, we didn't win a single game in the regular season.
Hey, Candy, I got a name for you. Remember Ray Rhodes?
Mm-hmm.
All right. I remember one time the Steelers almost every season would play Philly in preseason. Would play Philadelphia Eagles, and Ray Rhodes was the head coach at the time. And they said to him, "What are you looking for in the preseason?" He said, "We need to win all our games in the preseason in order to have a good season." And this one, we got to start with this one.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I remember his 1 year as the head coach at Green Bay.
Yep, I remember that.
Ray Rhodes. Good defensive mind, not a good coach. Head coach.
Did Earl Morrell ever get voted into the Hall of Fame as a backup QB?
I don't think so.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
It's a darn shame. The 2 years he got a chance to start, what did he do? He led the Colts all the way to the Super Bowl, and Johnny Unitas magically gets healthy and goes in there and plays with his name and loses.
Hey, Nick Foles retired today.
Nick Foles, congratulations.
Yeah.
Yeah, he had one shining moment when Carson Wentz got hurt, and he took them to beat Tom Brady and the Patriots, and got a.
I remember when he played for the Bears. Yeah, so yeah, I know he was. Yeah, he was. Oh, I got something for everybody. Guess who's the third string quarterback in Philly right now? Kenny Pickett. There's a bum. Kenny Pickett. I would have never thought that I would ever say that Kenny Pickett was a bum, because you know what? Everybody called it. I said that Kenny Pickett should have been drafted in the first round, and I told everybody, which is the truth, and I'm the only one that has the truth on this. And the reason why the Steelers drafted Kenny Pickett in the first round was because they didn't want the Dan Marino nonsense again, where everybody was upset with the Steelers because they didn't draft Dan Marino, and we could have 12 Super Bowls by now if Dan Marino was our quarterback. Okay.
Right. Okay. The only reason why
I approved that message.
The only reason why I was talking about Earl Morrell in that particular season is Don Shula was the head coach that year. 2 years later, Earl Morrell is signed by the Miami Dolphins. Who's the head coach in 1972? Don Shula.
Don Shula, yeah. Who had a winning season and didn't lose a game that year. Yeah.
Right. But Bob Greasy got hurt in week 10. And who came in to be the starter until the Super Bowl? Earl Morrell. And he literally said when he signed Earl Morrell that year, I would not do it again.
But he
And he
says he'll take Pickett over Studfield.
100%. I would take I'd take back Tim Boyle over Sudfeld.
Hey, you know what? Boyle's not a bad quarterback. I mean, he's won some games.
No, he's never won a game as a starter.
Oh, he did. I thought he won a few games.
He was a backup for Aaron Rodgers, and he never got to play that year. And then we signed him off their practice squad.
Yeah, I remember when you guys had it.
He never got to play for us. He got to play in the preseason. That's it. Sudfeld cannot win a Sunday game. Absolutely. And we all know David Blau couldn't, because David Blau actually took over for Matt Stafford in 2020 when he hurt his back.
Right.
Or 2019, excuse me.
All right.
That's pretty much
Candy, the show is all yours.
Okay, guys. We're elated when Sudfeld got good. Yes. Well, guys, it's been a good night. We should really.
Yes, it has.
I haven't even gone over any of the normal stuff. Like the South Florida Tribune published a book last November. It is called Lessons from the Microphone: Tuning into the Enduring Wisdom of Visionary Leaders. My husband, Scott Morganroth, Motor City Mad Mode. It's available on Amazon Kindle, Barnes & Noble, Apple, and Google Books. You can also there's a link to it on southfloridatribune.com, where you can also, there's a link to our merchandise store where you can get hats, sweatshirts. Good. Back to the books for you, James. Thank you for tuning in. If you like to listen to podcasts, you can listen to us wherever you get your podcasts. Apple, Google, iHeartRadio. Monday nights we talk baseball, and now we've been talking hockey on Fire Up Florida. Tuesday nights is football. Wednesday nights is Sports Exchange, and then Thursday nights here is Fire Up. You never know what we're going to talk about. Let's face it, we were talking about steaks earlier.
Yes, that's right. We were. My favorite steak is the Delmonico. And I like my steak well done.
I like a filet, but I like it medium rare.
So you're
more everybody's.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want it to moo when I stab it. That's all I got. No soccer tonight? No. There's not much going on in the soccer world with Olympics going on right now.
Right. Yeah, no. We've talked about a lot of different things. Let's see. What else was I going to say? If you want to advertise or sponsor a show, call Scott 954-304-4941. If you missed any of it, it's been scrolling around the bottom. You can go, if you're listening to us, you can go back and rewind. Ralph, how can people how can people see you, sponsor you, watch you, support you?
Well, every week keeps getting better and better for me as far as RW Media goes. And I had an extended conversation today with a radio station here in town. They want me to put my show on their station. They're trying to find a slot for me. So I had a nice conversation with the owner today, and we're going to see where that goes. Okay. And I'm also on CRSMmedia.com. Sports Corner is there. And I have my new Sports Corner pens and my Sports Corner car magnets. So Sports Corner is going to be getting out there. Billboards everywhere. We're going to be all over the place. Going up to Erie and going to be meeting with some people up there. See it spread it out up in Erie. I'm going to be going to Lancaster real soon at the end of September. So, but you can get a hold of me on Facebook, YouTube. I have my own YouTube channel, Ralph Williams, RW Media. Please subscribe. Thanks to Jeremy and yourself here, Candy, and the South Florida Tribune Network, and a few other networks. I've been able to get more. I've been able to get 30 more subscribers now. So, because I started the year off at 130 and I'm at 162 now, so I'm up to 32. So, and I hope to be at a 200 by the end of the year. You can also reach me on Twitter X platforms as well. Ralph Williams on Facebook or Sports Corner. I also have my own Sports Corner Facebook page as well. And like I said, the big thing is YouTube right now. I'm working on my own Roku channel, and I'm working on some other stuff. I have a meeting tomorrow with JB Ellis and Sideline Sports, who also sponsors Sports Corner, but we're getting into some deeper stuff too. So, and Fan First Sports Network also. So, Candy, my network is starting to grow, and
Awesome.
I'm happy about it. And I got my new wheelchair accessible van too. So. I'm really happy about that.
Awesome, awesome. Well, buddy, before I get to Smoking Jeremy B, I'm gonna your question, Candy. Are you a Tampa Bay or Miami fan? And I guess it depends on what you're talking about, because I'm really neither. I do live in South Florida, but I'm a Wisconsin girl, so
Green Bay all the way.
Green Bay. Packers, Bucks, Brewers. I know. Stop it, Jeremy. I know. Wisconsin. I am a graduate of one of the Wisconsin. Wisconsin has it's a UW system, and Madison is the school that everybody knows of because that's the Division I school. But there are other schools within the University of Wisconsin system. And I am a graduate of one of them. It happens to be UW Whitewater. But so I'm really not a Tampa Bay or a Miami fan.
Like buddy Kikito, he's like me. No,
I know.
Do it like Darth Vader. No.
Hey Candy, what's Wisconsin looking like this year with Luke Fickell?
You know, I don't know. It's going to be interesting. It'll be an interesting year, I think, because I don't know. I have never been Tyler fan, and he switched from down here from Miami to Wisconsin. But maybe he just needs to be in the right system, and that's what I'm going to say, because sometimes it's a system, it's coaches that make a big difference or can make a big impact, and so. It also depends on. I haven't looked at their schedule to see who they're all playing, because now that there's more teams in the Big Ten, I'm not exactly sure who we all play this year, so that makes a difference too.
Okay, yeah, I would meant to ask you when we were talking college football, and I forgot about it. So
yeah, no, and maybe that should be a topic for next week or so that we look in. We can start looking into more, and I can do a little more research and stuff like that. But buddy, the other thing is if you're talking, are you talking Tampa Bay Bucks and Miami Dolphins? Are you talking about Tampa Bay Lightning and the Florida Panthers? Like, there's a lot of different things.
I like the Miami Dolphins because their head coach Mike McDonald or McDaniel is from Pittsburgh. He's from the Plum Borough section of Pittsburgh. So you know.
Yeah, honest truth, I have heard more from Bears fans than Green Bay fans. Yeah, the overhype is real.
Oh, but
and by the way, don't forget Saturday 9 a.m. YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch, the External Bum Show with me, Ralph Williams, Scott Morganroth, Leo Haggerty, and Jeremy Ballrick, and we talk bums in sports and a whole lot of other topics as well. And we're streaking up in views, which is great. We've gone from 20 to over almost 50 last week, and we're keep spiking up. So that's good news. So,
like you've had growth. I'm amazed at the growth I've had since the draft. If you remember, Candy, I was talking. We were sitting around 260 and was going up during the draft. I think I ended the draft at around 280. I'm sitting at 193 subs. In probably the slowest NFL news offseason we've ever had.
Yeah.
I mean, there's been almost no big trades. They've been just a few big re-signings, not even big flashy.
Right. It's been quiet. It's been quiet between the draft and the start of training camp. Yes, it has been quiet.
And I'm honored that my fans must be helping me to push myself out there and helping me network. And I'm glad that my network and this network has helped me grow as well as it's helping you grow, Ralph.
Yes,
Uh,
absolutely.
share,
And likewise to you, because you helped me grow. I
yes,
have some of the people who watch your programs watching my show now.
and
So,
I'm glad you do. I try to watch, but some of your programs run into my programming time, and you know
and
because
your work time too.
you pop in and right like when I'm at the end of my show because you just ended yours.
Well, that, and then on top of that, sometimes I get tied up with phone calls and things like that. So by the time I get to you, or sometimes it's the end of the show. And,
Right.
I got a guy that does a podcast at 11 o'clock or whenever he feels like it, more or less, but usually 11 o'clock he's supposed to be on. It's called Two Dumb Yinzers. His name's Ryan. He used to be my producer at the radio station that I had my shows on before. And he's been doing that now for 2 years. And it's a good show, Two Dumb Yinzers. So.
Buddy Conquito says only overpaid QBs. No, we had two big wide receiver signings. Justin Jefferson getting the highest wide receiver salary ever. And prior to that, Amon Ra got the highest wide receiver salary ever for average per year, not per cap hit per year. There's a big difference in those numbers, and I've been trying to explain that to a lot
And
of people.
July 1st, Bobby Bonilla Day has already gone by.
Yes. Hallelujah. It's over this year. We don't have to hear about it till next year.
Yeah, exactly. How long is that anyway? What, 2030 or something? I think it is.
2031 is the last year of it, if I
Is that
remember.
the last year for that?
30 years
Oh
at $1
my
million
God.
a year, signed in 2001, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It's still better than what the Dodgers did for Ohtani. $2 million a year on a 20-year contract or 10? I can't remember.
I think it's a 10-year contract.
10-year contract, and at the end of it, whatever he hasn't made, he gets paid in full. It's not per year; they're paying it in full.
So it's
day
going to be one lump sum and no payments, like Bonilla.
Right.
Yeah.
They'd be better off doing the "we'll pay you until the day you die" type of thing.
Hey, if Bobby Bonilla budgets his money right, hey, why not?
He really doesn't have to budget because think about it. If you're getting $1 million a year, you take the jock tax out of it because it's still being paid for playing a sport. You
Right.
take out the federal income tax and everything else. He's losing about 35-40%. So,
Buddy, I'm usually both Steeler and an Eagles fan in some perspective. If the Eagles are in the Super Bowl, I'll root for them. Someday, I would like to see the Eagles versus Steelers in the Super Bowl, a Pennsylvania Super Bowl. But I'm mostly a Steeler fan. But I was an Eagles fan until they got Kenny Pickett. Now I'm not an Eagles fan anymore, and I feel bad for Nick Sirianni because if he doesn't win this year, he's fired. If he doesn't go to the Super Bowl, so
and you got Saquon Barkley with the groin pull right now, so he won't be.
Yeah, and he's got two good coordinators there, so he should do okay. So.
Yeah, I mean, Vic Fangio is a way better coordinator than head coach. We saw that with what he did.
Yes, absolutely. How many times have I said it on your show, Jeremy? Some people can bake a cake and some people can't, which means you could be a head coach or you could be a coordinator. And a lot of people are better coordinators than they are head coaches. And the biggest mistake they make is when they become a head coach, they try to be the coordinator as well. And you can't do it like that.
Mm-hmm. So, Smoking Jeremy B, how can we find you? Where can we support you?
Well, you can find my writings on the SouthFloridaTribune.com underneath the three little white marks to pull down the pull-down menu under the Motor City Tribune heading. You can also find me right here on the South Florida Tribune. Anytime Scott needs me for any of his shows, I'll be available. But normally right here on Fire Up, and occasionally you see me on that one that everybody loves to talk about, and it's football inside the pigskin with Coach Bonamago, Bo Crouch, Travis Holmes, and of course Mel Farr Jr. Mel Farr.
I'm working on getting Bo on my show Tuesday, Jeremy.
Awesome. And of course, Scott, the Motor City Madmouth.
Mm-hmm.
And he also wrote a book that I wrote a review about on Amazon for him. So Barnes and Noble, excuse me. Can't write reviews on Amazon for some reason. But
If you buy the book through Amazon, can you?
yeah, you have to buy it through. You just can't go there and put a review.
Right.
But at the same time, he deserves it. It's actually a good read. If anybody's
is.
thinking about being in the broadcasting business or journalism, there's a lot you can learn about the way the old ways have done and how it's transitioned to the new.
Mm-hmm.
You can also find me on my channel, which is Kneecap Biting with the Motor City Lions, where I am live Monday through Friday at noon, Mondays, Wednesdays, Fridays, and Sundays at 9 p.m. You can also find me sharing the shows that I co-host on, like this one, or Ralph's External Bum on Saturdays. So that's a total of 11 shows a week on mine. And anytime I guess that someone else's, I put it up there too. Lately, it's been the Red Zone Rant on Sunday mornings, or Valhalla Hour with some Vikings guys. Now that they know that I'm a legit published journalist, it lends a little weight and it makes it easier to be on someone else.
Mm-hmm. Well, if you didn't hear it before, if you see that red subscribe button, that means you have not subscribed to the South Florida Tribune's YouTube channel. Please do so. Share us with all your friends. Anybody that you know that would like it. Monday nights, we talk hockey. We talk baseball. Tuesday nights, we talk football. Wednesday and Thursday nights, you just never know what we might be talking. After all, we were talking tonight about steaks and NFL. If you want to advertise on our YouTube or on our shows, please call Scott 954-304-4941. You can always email us at gmail.com. We're live on Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, and YouTube. If you like to listen to podcasts, wherever you get your podcasts, you can find us. iHeartRadio, Google, Apple, Spotify, CastBox, Deezer, you name it, we're there. Scott also does a one-on-one show on nofilter.net. It's a one-on-one interview show. It's really good. Check it out. Check out our website, www.southfloridatribune.com. As Smoking Jeremy V said, he writes for it. I take pictures. There's all kinds of good. If you like football, we have transcripts from the Dolphins, the Jags, the Lions. We have other college football, especially here down in South Florida. We also have a store where you can get merchandise and a link to Scott's books, or book, I should say. But guys, it's been real fun. Love talking with you guys, and you never know what we might be talking about. Like we talked steaks this week. You never know what's going to happen next week.
By the way, I do want to say I don't know the name of the linebacker who did it, but from the Giants, you're a bum. No, when after the play is over and the guy's down and he's getting up, you don't pull him down by his face mask and slam his head on the ground. That is why Hendon Hooker is in concussion protocol.
Wow.
That's there's no business for that, especially in the preseason.
Well, you know what? Brian DeBoe got a dose of reality last year. I mean, the first year, Giants won the playoffs, and now last year they kind of folded their tent. But this year we're third year with Brian DeBoe. So.
Well, I do want to thank both of you gentlemen. I also want to
you.
thank the plethora of people that we had in the chat room today.
Yes,
I
we
love
did.
it. I love everybody commenting, asking questions. We love interacting with the people out there. So keep it up. You guys have a wonderful weekend. Jeremy, you want to end us like you end your shows?
Try every day to be a better person than you were the day before, because that's the only way to make the world a better place. It starts right here. Much love, everybody.
Love you guys. Have a good one. We'll catch you next week. Enjoy all the preseason football, the college, the baseball, the last of the Olympics. Have a good week and a good weekend, everybody.
Be safe.